So I chose to do my discussion board forum on the Pentecostal denomination, mostly because my grandparents are affiliated with the Assemblies of God denomination, and in reading about the Azusa revivals, it instantly sparked some curiosity because my undergrad university is called Azusa Pacific University, so that's why I chose to do Pentecostal. So, how and where did the Pentecostal movement start? So, according to the scholars that I used for this discussion board and the Knowles reading that we're using throughout the course, they found their start in the revivals on Azusa Street in Los Angeles in 1906. William J. Seymour, his church was home to these revivals. He was an African American holiness preacher who was actually a son of freed slaves, and his church was multicultural and racially diverse. So they weren't. It was kind of ahead of its time, you could say, because everyone was equal in the church. Anderson, one of the scholars, talks about Seymour's church saying, turning what was until then a fairly localized and insignificant new Christian sect into an international movement. So this is where that international movement took place. So let's talk about the actual revivals. So these meetings would begin at 10 in the morning and they would carry on into the night. Some characteristics of these meetings were they were spontaneous and emotional. Most of the meetings were unplanned and the speakers were unplanned. And then a very common thing to see was singing in tongues and people falling into the ground under the power of the slain. So it was a very kind of within yourself and an emotional atmosphere. Another scholar, Joe Creech, states the Pentecostal denominations reflect Azusa's unique social and religious dynamics spontaneously charismatic leadership, ecstasy, and the subversion of race, class, and gender categories. The Azusa revival also took place kind of in working class, with the working class citizens. So Creech's quote kind of speaks to that as well. So these revivals that took place in Azusa and this Pentecostal movement, so what does that mean? So first, the Azusa revivals played a foundational role in early Pentecostalism. So these revivals really kind of started getting the ball rolling in North America. The second was the Pentecostals saw the world as their parish and set out to grow their denomination. So they were very mission focused. They wanted to spread their denomination through North America. They kind of take a page out of John Wesley's book and saying that the world is their parish. And then third is they believed they could overcome any obstacle through the power of the Spirit. So they believe very deeply in the power of the Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit within them. So in closing, I wanted to leave you with this quote from Creech about the Pentecostals because I felt that it really summed up kind of everything that they're about in their early days and what those Azusa revivals looked like in the origins of the Pentecostal church. So it says, the Azusa Stream model of the Los Angeles Boosters predominated the spirit that fell at Azusa and then flowed into the centric rings, sparking revivals throughout the nation and the world. So the Pentecostal denomination impacted and grew throughout the United States during this 20th century time.